Darshana, can you help us understand how managers can handle potential challenges or resistances from the employees during PIPs, right? And foster a more positive and kind of receptive environment. I think you've done this quite a lot. So, apt person to answer this question. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I've interestingly had a lot of PIP cases where there's been resistance from the person who's been put on PIP, right? And usually it comes with the fact that they've not been given feedback on a consistent basis, right? Or maybe they've not been given feedback in a language in which they understand, right? So, in a lot of cases, what happens is leads will just come and say, I'm not happy with this report, redo it, right? So what about that report are you not happy about? How can you sort of support this person to make the quality of that report better? That activity never takes place. So there's this constant resentment from both ends, right? At the end of the day, I it's like any relationship, right? The relationship between a manager and their report, it's like a marriage, like a mother and child relationship, whatever it is that you want to call. There will be disagreements. There will be places where you don't agree with what the other person says, and the vice versa, right? So I've noticed that it helps if the manager is just consistent in giving feedback, right? If as people success, we can give them a separate audience to sort of listen to them, understand their point of view, and try and explain it to them on behalf of the manager, even in some cases, that, while you think that the manager is out to get you, that's not the case. This is how they are looking at issues that we're seeing from you. For example, this is how they're seeing that you've not like, for example, if they want the quality of a certain presentation to be at a place where there are a lot of animations on it, it looks beautifully set up, that you're using activities in a training program, etc. If you're giving, I'm using like trainers as an example over here, right? Now, if they say are talking about the ancillary things that you need to make as a trainer to make your training program a little bit more effective, right? And you haven't done that, and the person who's on a PIP, who's a trainer, feels like they've done what they need to do, they clearly don't know what a good training program looks like, right? So, like, send them to maybe shadow someone else, right? So have that neutral perspective in between as people success, as HR, where you're able to show them that he's not saying you're terrible at your job completely. It's just that there is another standard that you need to adhere to, right? Let's try and bring ourselves up to that standard, right? So to have like conversations as people success helps in a lot of cases, right? And in a lot of other cases, it helps for the manager themselves to use a very not harsh language to sort of very nicely explain to them, not just there are a lot of cases where you just say you're blaming the other person as opposed to giving them the clean instructions of what they could have done better, right? So no blame games must be paid, right? So as long as they're able to give consistent feedback, substantiated with examples, right? Keep the people success team in the loop so that they are able to speak both languages of sorts, right? And also, like, do it in an empathetic but firm fashion where you're like not saying ki, haan, theek hai, I agree with you or I completely disagree with you also, right? So that is how I would say a manager could sort of help deal with objections when someone doesn't agree necessarily with why they've been put on PIP.
Yes, very, very true. I think in a lot of cases, like I think Sumit also said, right? Somebody says that, listen, I've not been judged fairly, and then it's you need somebody who has the context, right? Whether it's peers, whether it's a manager, you need the context. And like Darshana very correctly put it, the feedback should be extremely specific. It can't be, kind of very, very abstract. That doesn't help anybody, right? Neither does it help the person, nor does it help you. If you can't articulate the feedback properly to help the person improve, then there's what are you doing as a manager, right? That is your job. So that is something that's absolutely crucial. Thank you so much. Like somebody is saying, so perfectly explained, Darshana. Thank you so, so much.